Hello again, this is Ultimate Academy's team presenting ONYX Financial Track, which is a series of lectures covering ONYX Pro ERP system, and we have already covered in the previous lectures general ledger parameters, system inputs, and also the system setup screens. We're on lecture number 7 and we're still talking about general ledger setup. We'll start with the screen bank groups. Through the screen, we can add or divide the existing banks into groups. You can divide the banks into groups based on your business needs, basically. Click on Add. The ordinal number comes up automatically. Add the group's name and also the foreign name. The foreign name, of course, is optional. Alright, so after you fill in the group name and the foreign name as well, don't forget to save. And the next screen is notes types. We'll bring that up. It already comes up with 2 types set by default in the system, which are debit notes and credit notes. Click on Add to add a new type. As usual, the ordinal number gets filled in automatically. Fill in type name, foreign name. Alright, and the drop-down menu note type, you will select from it the classification, whether it's going to be debit or credit. We can see on the upper right a button called privilege, which is actually not included in all the versions of the system, but when you click on privilege, it opens up a new window, and through this window we can set certain privileges to certain users so they can work on the note that we've added. Alright, so the following screen is request types. It already has 4 types included: journal voucher request, receive requests, payment requests, and also exchange currency, which is the exchange rate. To add a new request type, you will click on Add, select the classification or the type, which has to be one of the existing 4 types. The type number is automatically filled. You will enter the type name and the foreign name, and in sequence we will add the number manually. Alright, so we also discussed what privilege is for, so we will not go through that one more time. Moving on to the screen after that, which is documents types, and it already has 1 type included, which is journal voucher. You can add a new document, so click on Add, enter the type name and foreign name as usual. For example, closing journal. And in sequence, we will also enter the number manually. Then we can select whether this document is outgoing or received. Alright, so we have 7 kinds of print forms set up by default, and we can select from here a fixed form for printing, or you can just select or choose the print form from the screen itself. If you check the variable connected with journal voucher request, the user will not be able to create a journal voucher except from the journal voucher request. And of course, we're only talking about the document type that we've just created. VAT correcting, deferred of VAT provider, and also provider of reverse VAT. If you want to, or basically if it serves your business needs, you can activate these variables depending on the way that you deal with your VAT. Moving on to the screen, receipt and payments types. So we have several types already included or set by default, and if you want to add anything new, you will click on Add, and then you will select the type from the drop-down menu. For example, we will go with receipts. Fill in the type name and the foreign name as usual. Alright, so from transaction type, we'll select vendor in advance payments or vendor paid. Now, if you want to link this type with VAT, then activate this variable deferred of a VAT provider. Of course, you will need to save so that your changes would not be discarded. And moving on to the last screen that we have here, which is description definition. From the screen, we can add fixed data and link it to a certain account. So this data will appear in the transactions when we select the account that we've linked it to. You will first of all, of course, hit add, fill in the description and the foreign name. And in the account number field, hit F9 to view the existing accounts and the account that you want to link this description to. So after you've selected the account, don't forget, of course, to save so your data would not be discarded. And we can add, of course, more than one description for the same account. So this is everything for this lecture. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you again in the upcoming lecture.